Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, wherever you are joining from. I say good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching the replay from. So, first and foremost, thank you for sending in questions. We've opened up this time really once, twice a month, purposely because our inbox is getting so full with kind of questions or people wanting our opinions on certain things, and it's just getting too much to be able to actually answer those questions individually. So this is why we've opened up this space, so we can make sure that we're still being of service to you in the best way possible, even as we are kind of in this super busy period. So that being said, I'm going to jump straight in with the first question. This was sent over from a lady in the Middle East, and I mentioned that because there's a bit of context to her question. So basically, in her culture, and I believe this is true for many different cultures and gender issues and discrimination almost as well in many places, where she's been told that she can't do anything right, she can't handle responsibility, literally has half a brain, and this is coming because she's female. Right, female within a certain culture. Now, this I believe is true dependent on gender, race. These people are experiencing this kind of stuff no matter where you're from. Now, the question itself is, how can I increase my self-worth? Even though she's been pampering herself to try and raise that self-worth, she's still discovered that in a few situations that happen, her lack of self-worth is showing up. Now, this is such a great question because a lot of people really struggle when it comes to self-worth. And I really want to just bring in a little bit of context here to how we end up in this place of low self-worth when that's kind of been part of our life experience, because it's really important to recognize that, you know, when we are younger, we are literally like a sponge and we are soaking up all of this this stuff, right? Everything that we're told, every life experience, we're just pulling it into our system, right? Subconsciously. Our conscious brain isn't necessarily switched on yet, our conscious mind, sorry, and our brain isn't fully matured. So we end up connecting all of these dots. It's almost like 1 + 1 = 5, right? There's nobody actually telling us, okay, this is how our brain works, this is how we come to these conclusions, this is what's right, this is what's not so right, this is what's going to serve you, this is not what's going to serve you. So it's really important that we just remember that just because we have been told certain things about ourselves doesn't mean that it's true. There was I think they call it the looking glass theory, where essentially when you tell somebody they can do something, that's how they'll show up. If you tell somebody they can't do something, that's how they'll also show up, right? So for example, saying to somebody, oh, you're going to be really good at this, you're going to be amazing at that, then lo and behold, they believe that they are, and they go on and they show up like that. If you tell somebody constantly, you're shy, you're shy, you're shy, why are you so quiet all the time, and you give that kind of messaging, that then is how that person shows up. So if you're constantly being told you're worthless, right, you have half a brain, you can't do anything right, you can't handle responsibility, and I don't trust you, essentially, what you're going to behave like as a result is basically that you're going to mirror that in many ways, even if you really try and kind of prove it wrong, right? Because sometimes it's so ingrained inside of us. So I really like the fact, first of all, that you've already tried to resolve this from pampering yourself, right? And you've already tried to kind of prove them wrong through you focusing on yourself, right? That is definitely going to help to increase self-worth. But like you said, there's a few situations here that still show up. And that's because pampering ourselves isn't always about the physical side, right? Pampering ourselves with, you know, the latest clothes, or the looking after yourself and going for a massage and going shopping or hanging out with people of a certain status, and all of these different things that can come part of us thinking that we're pampering ourselves and looking after ourselves and treating ourselves well on a physical level isn't enough. It's the emotional and psychological pampering that needs to happen, right? We need to give that kindness and compassion to ourselves, right? So that involves things like celebrating wins, the small things that you do, all of those times where actually, you know, you did do something right, where you have handled loads of responsibility, right? Where you have recognized how intelligent you've been, where you have realized how actually you've made a real difference in that moment, in that small decision, or even in that big thing. But it's about recognizing those good things within yourself and taking the time to actually reflect on those things, right? And then if in the beginning that feels like really hard to do, you can even ask a friend to help point those out to you if it's needed at first. But the most important thing is you shining that level of compassion onto yourself, right? And recognizing that just because somebody said something to you once, or if a whole society has been telling you something your whole life, it still doesn't mean that it's true, right? The experiences like that, they condition us, and sometimes that can actually really start to produce a lot of emotion, right? And that emotion can show up in many ways. It can make us feel sad, it can make us lose confidence, it can make us fearful of how we show up, second guessing ourselves all the time, but it also comes with a big side order of shame often, right? And shame is an emotion, and any emotion that we've experienced a lot of and intensely, it gets ingrained in our system, inside of our body. It learns to live within us, not just in our mind, not just in the way we are thinking about the world, but in how we feel. This is why our body language shifts. This is why our relationship with our body shifts, and we don't take care of ourselves in perhaps the way we ought to, because these emotions are deeply somatic. They're in us. So the first thing I would say, the short answer here, to answer your question, to increase your self-worth, you need to be operating from a place of love and kindness towards yourself, taking time to recognize the good within you, and just seeing you for who you really are, not for who it is that you've been told you are. Okay, but also then is to really dig into these emotions and really start to acknowledge how you feel. When your self-worth is low, what is the emotion that's attached to that? When you're really trying to push your self-worth up and increase it, what is the emotion that's showing up? What is the emotion that's fueling that behavior of trying to increase that self-worth? Right? Because then what you can start to do is release anything that isn't serving you, because you could do your best to increase self-worth, but if you're not getting to the root of the issue and actually resolving the emotion that is behind that intention, it's going to be very hard for you to learn to let it go and release it and be totally free from it, so you can live to your full sense of ability, and you're not second guessing yourself, and you're not questioning your own self-worth, right? And then those kind of triggers or those symptoms of how it's showing up in your life will start to become a lot less. Okay, I hope that makes sense for you. If there's any follow-up questions, please let me know. But yeah, next time obviously try and show up on the call, and we can get a bit more personal with that and a bit more specific to your experience. But those are the things that I would always start with when it comes to self-worth. It always comes back to self-kindness, self-compassion, and emotions every single time. Okay, and recognizing that just because it's been something that's been drilled into you doesn't mean it is truth. You get to decide who you are, how you show up, and what lens you see yourself through. Okay. The next question here is, what do I think of using frequency boosting supplements and psychedelics? Okay, so first of all, I need to say I'm not an expert in this. Okay, I don't have any experience in terms of psychedelics personally, but I have got a lot of experience with people who have obviously tried it and experienced it and has huge success with it. And I've had a lot of experiences with people who have gone and experienced different kinds of psychedelics and been left in not such a resourceful way. So please take this as you will. Okay, but please know this is not an expert opinion. This is based on just personal experience here. So first things first is, when we are looking for something outside of us, right, whether that's a psychedelic or whether that's a frequency boosting supplement. And when I say frequency boosting supplement, I'm talking about things like quantum infused products, and like I think the latest one I saw was like a blue lotus flowers, and things like this. Whenever we're looking for these things outside of us, whether it's a supplement or whether it's a psychedelic, we need to first be looking at, why are we looking for this thing outside of us, right? Are we looking because we're looking for a quick fix, or are we looking at it because we want to use it as a gateway to something that's within us? Okay, that's the first place to always begin. Because I've worked with people, for example, who have been searching for this quick fix. They go and do ayahuasca or mushrooms or whatever it is, right? They go and they have these experiences, and in the moment, for some of them, they've been hugely profound and had incredible effects, but then they come back to their way of life and everything's the same or it's worse. And that's often because they're trying to jump to these higher frequencies and these deeper experiences without actually starting to, looking at what is going on under the surface. Like, do they actually have the right level of safety within themselves and the right support to be able to actually implement the things that are coming into their awareness? Most of the time, unfortunately, people don't. Right. So if you are going to go and try a psychedelic or something of that nature, it's really important to make sure it's done in a safe way with people who know how to support you before, during, and after that kind of experience. Now, the high frequency supplements, I personally believe they do work and there is a place for them, but they are a supplement. They are supposed to supplement something you are already doing for your own growth. In the same way a nutrition supplement is something you use alongside a healthy, balanced diet, right? You can't just take a supplement and then go and eat rubbish, right? Your health isn't necessarily going to improve there. So it needs to supplement. And it's the same here when you're working with energy and you're working with frequencies. You want to make sure that you are doing the deeper work. You're doing the work that helps you to maintain your personal growth or your healing, and then start to complement that with supplements if you feel like you need that extra boost. But to just go out and buy the latest high frequency supplement and not reflect internally on how it is you're thinking, how you're feeling, and connecting with your body, connecting with your mind and your heart, and who it is you really are, it's an absolute waste. Okay, and again, that's my opinion. Okay, it might be unpopular, it might be on the money for you. Take what resonates, disregard what doesn't. Okay, again, any follow-up questions on that, please let me know. All right, so the next question I've got up here is, okay, how to improve time management is causing me a lot of stress. Okay, so I know the guy that sent this over is somebody that is struggling with commitments in a work scenario, family scenario, and it's a very common thing, right? It's like life is happening, we're spinning all these plates all of the time. It's like, at what point does it stop? Like, it's almost like you breathe in until you get time to breathe again, and exactly what that feels like. Okay, so what's really, really important here is to first of all make sure that we're actually focused on the right thing. The more we try to manage time, like that, we're immediately setting ourselves up for failure. Okay, because time, yes, you can be smart with how you schedule things, but time is time. Time's going to keep on ticking by no matter what you do and what you schedule, right? It's 24 hours in the day. It's what you do with that time that makes the difference. It's who you are being in that time that makes the difference. So I think the question here really needs to be refocused into how you're managing your energy and your awareness, okay? Because your energy is going to determine how you're showing up in those situations. If you're showing up low energy because you tried to squeeze in 101 things in the last 10 minutes and you're showing up to a meeting, let's say, or you're showing up to hang out with your kid and you're exhausted or your head is somewhere else, immediately you're not being in that present moment, right? And listen, life is so friggin' sacred. Like, every minute counts, every moment counts. So I think we need to stop thinking in minutes and in hours and start thinking in moments. And what do we want to bring to those moments? Do we want to bring more presence, more awareness, more alignment? Because when we do that, and I'm speaking from personal experience now, you get more done, you achieve more, you actually experience a higher quality. So you end up having 24 hours in the day, and perhaps what used to take you 8 hours you can now do in 3 hours, just because you were present and energized. So that 45 minutes in the gym, or that 20 minutes meditating, or that 3 minutes meditating can actually start to give you such a high return on your output. So actually it's well worth the investment on putting your time, your minutes, into energy building, because your energy building gives you a higher return back on what you're able to achieve. Okay, so you don't need more time in the day, and that's impossible. You're not going to get more time in the day. You're going to get 24 hours like everybody else. So bringing your attention back to your energy, so that you can start actually have the energy to be able to maintain your focus, so you're not being distracted every 5 minutes or every minute, every time your phone dings or every time your kid says something, or every time you have this other spinning plate over here that feels like it's about to fall, right? But you're too busy over there to be able to notice, right? You get to actually manage your awareness. You get to bring it in and be able to step back almost and look at your life and say, okay, what needs my attention now? What needs my dialed in, focused presence? Because that's where those quality moments are going to happen. That's where you're going to get more out of the time that you have available, whether that's more work being done, more laughter with your family, more intimate moments with your partner, whatever that looks like, the quality is going to be present. So I would challenge you to think less about time management and more about energy management, and asking yourself who it is you actually want to be in those moments. And I would challenge you to collapse your current perspective and idea of what time looks like for you, right? Does time for you look like a clock with those minutes ticking by, or does time actually look for you like life, right? I'm here, I'm in this space, and I am actually in this moment now, and I can do something with it, right? What's the picture that comes up when you think of time? For me, it literally used to be a clock face, literally like an old school clock, not a phone, digital clock, old school clock, okay, with a proper face on it and hands and everything. And that used to be, when I used to think of time, I'd picture that clock. But now when I think of time, I picture a quality moment. I picture what sacred looks like for me. And that's really where I find presence. Because when we realize that tomorrow isn't promised, the next hour isn't promised, the next day isn't promised, and we start to look at our own mortality, we actually start to really cherish what we do have. And therefore we put more into it, we put more attention into it, we put more of ourselves into it, and then that's from where we flourish. And that's in any situation, whether that's work, kids, family, health, doesn't matter, all the same. And the other thing I would get you just questioning here is, with time management, is what is the sense of urgency? Like, why is it causing so much stress? And that's when I would get you to look at how you're perceiving your current situation, because often we have this sense of urgency to do everything just because life is fast and life is very fast paced. But often it's ourselves that are putting that sense of urgency on ourselves, right? Often there is some availability to push back and say, actually, this isn't urgent. This is something, okay, it's important and I get it, it needs my attention, but perhaps it could wait until tomorrow. Perhaps I could actually ask for more time from my boss on this. Perhaps I could reprioritize and shift something else around, right? It doesn't have to be this intense sense of urgency, because whenever we feel like we're threatened, right, our body contracts, our mind contracts, things get urgent, and then that intelligent part of our brain actually starts to switch off a little bit, right? It might fuel you into action a little bit, but in the long term, what that does is it's just giving you the wrong or an unhelpful chemical mix in your mind to be able to actually do really powerful, resourceful work, right? Or have those powerful, resourceful moments. So get you to just question, is this time management issue real? What is really going on and triggering stress for you? Because unfortunately, sometimes it's more that people don't feel like they're good enough to be able to do the thing that's expected of them in the time they have available, right? So there could be many different stories like that attached to what's causing the stress in the first place. So I would just get you to look behind time management, look behind energy management, and ask yourself what is going on actually at the root of your stress. And if you want to learn more on that, there's an article. If you just go to our website, wellnesstheory.com, go to the blog page, and you will see a whole bunch of blogs there and videos that will help you to figure out, okay, well, where is your stress stemming from? Okay, if you've got any doubt on that, just drop us a message, let us know, and we can signpost you to the right place. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I've only got time for those 3 questions today. The remaining ones I will do my best to hop on. again, slightly later date, but I'll let you know when that is, and I'll answer those then. But thank you so much for sending those questions in. I look forward to hearing any feedback or any comments or how this has helped you. And really, I just look forward to kind of catching up with you and seeing you again very, very soon. All right. So until next time, be well, mean well, and go out there and make a difference. All right. Take care.